Hey, what up everybody, this is Stevie Breach coming to you, and my latest review for the WWE Network is going to be on New Blood Rising. Honestly, when I sat down to watch this show, I was very, very excited by it because the big angle that I thought really was going to have a chance to save WCW was the New Blood against the Millionaires Club. They put all like those sort of old-timey 80s wrestlers that had held the championships and held everybody down. They put them over on one side and said, alright, you're a group, and then basically all of the young and hungry stars that we had watched for years, you know, really hoping they'd get a break. The Shane Douglases, the Scott Steiners, the Buff Bagwells, all of those guys, the Booker T's, all of those guys were finally going to get their chance to make their way up. Only thing is that when I selected this to watch on the WWE Network, I didn't realize that basically because of all of the sort of changes that would have to happen to change the name of a pay-per-view, all of the, the stuff to put out there to publicize it and get it, commercialized where everybody would get used to it, it took too long. Just basically, this is it doesn't really show what the shell of the New Blood is. By the time that this pay-per-view happened, basically the New Blood had fell off and it cracked off into 3 or 4 different groups, and there was no real standing of the Rougeau and Bischoff, era of getting all the guys together on one team to make sure they were all playing for the same thing to take down the Millionaires Club. That had just sort of, just broken up, and just nothing really relied on it. The first match of the night is honestly, if you go to the show, the only match you need to watch. Everything from here on out is garbage, but this is by far one of the best WCW matches of 2000. And I went into this thinking not really a whole lot. This is basically 3 count going up against the Young Dragons. Some big stars that came out of here: Shannon Moore, Shane Helms, and then he had Jamie Noble out of this group. I always thought that Evan Courageous was going to be a big deal, but he was just one of those guys that once WCW folded up, had so much heat on him that nobody wanted to touch this guy. I don't even think if he ever got a WWE developmental deal, but it seemed like WCW wanted this guy to be the biggest star out of all of this. But basically, this ladder match contested of basically the gold record that the Young Dragons had stolen from 3 count, and then also a contract stating that if the Young Dragons won this match, 3 count would never be allowed to record another CD ever again. So there's 2 things at the top above the ring for these guys to get. And these guys battle it out. And these guys, it's almost like the first time you saw Edge and Christian versus the Hardys. Like, they just went all for it because just basically they had nothing to lose. They were trying to make their names so that way, they could move farther up the card. It's too bad that they never really made it anywhere out of the tag team division before WCW closed. But this was awesome. And I'm not even going to talk about the fact that Tank Abbott, the once UFC star, was on the outside cheering for 3 count, and he had made it his own custom shirt. Basically, with 3 count, they came out and they danced on 3 red dots inside of the ring, much like the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC. And basically, on the shirt, it was here, here, and here. And he had cut out 2 of the red dots to expose his nipples. Alright, he danced and he, sort of praised 3 count on the apron the whole time throughout this match. Not watching what was going on in the ring. He missed one of the best matches of WCW, but he just sort of just fed off what the crowd was doing, just danced and pointed, hoping they would yell and scream at them. And there's one point during the match, the guys have to stop what they're doing because Tank is about to get in a fight with the crowd, or with a guy in the crowd in the front row. But basically, the Young Dragons climb up, they grab the gold record, and they come down, and most of the time, they have the championships or a contract or something like that above the ring. The first person to grab that one stops the match. And I had lost all my momentum in there because basically, I thought the match was over, and they're still fighting. Basically, one of the guys comes down with the gold record and he holds it above his head like he won it, and Tank Abbott just reaches over and grabs it and takes it. And somehow that is the possession of 3 count now. And basically because nobody wants to mess with Tank Abbott out there, just everybody goes along about their business. They battle, 3 count finally goes up there, they win it. This is the one match you need to watch on this. If you go to the WWE Network, you go to WCW, the year 2000, make sure you watch New Blood Rising. It's only going to take 12 minutes to watch this match. I know it's on one of the ladder match DVDs. I don't know if it's ladder match 1 or ladder match 2, but I don't even know if people are still paying attention to their DVDs anymore. From here on out, this is just basic WCW crapsville. Before the match with Ernest Miller, who is the acting commissioner of WCW, basically all of the filthy animals come in there and they, just say, hey, if you get us a shot at the tag championships, no, not the tag championships. What did they want? They wanted something. If we make sure that you win your match next, we get something. And maybe they wanted a special guest, the tag championships, Matt. That's what it was, yeah. If they make sure that Ernest Miller wins, they get to be the tag, the guest referees in the tag match. I don't know why they wanted to be in there, but they wanted to be out there. So basically, the Ernest Miller goes out there against the Great Muta, and for some reason it's a heel against the heel, and because at this time, the Great Muta had joined the Dark Carnival with Vampiro and the dude from Kiss, Demon. But basically, they went out there. All the filthy animals came down there to interfere in the match, led by Tigress. Tigress jumped in the ring as being a chick. She just got to do whatever she wanted to. She hit Muta over the back with a steel chair. Ernest Miller kicked him in the head and knocked him out. 1, 2, 3. Ernest Miller gets the win. He gets to dance around, and the filthy animals get what they want. In the next match of the night, it was Buff Bagwell against Canyon. Most known as the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match, because basically this build was Judy Bagwell on a pole, and they couldn't figure out a way for her to be on the pole, so they just put her on a pallet on top of a forklift. Buff got the win. Basically, David Arquette made his WCW return during this match. He wasn't able to help Canyon. Canyon got pissed that he lost and hit the Canyon Cutter on David Arquette after this was over, which got a big pop from the crowd. The next match was Chronic going up against the Perfect Event, Sean Stasiak and Chuck Palumbo, and then Sean O'Hare and Mark Jindrak, a great WCW tag team, and the Misfits in Action were in this. Basically, all of the filthy animals came down to be on the guest referees. They were all wearing, the black and white shirts. They all took, different spots around the ring. Conan came down. He was on the, commentating table. Basically, he buried the whole company, and then he tried to, save it by, saying, like, we have definitely the people on this team that it's really going to make us pull ourselves up and out of the gutter. They're just admitting that, WWE is kicking their ass. I don't know what happens in this match. Basically, all these guys beat the hell out of each other, and it comes down to Chronic and I believe the Perfect Event. And for some reason, even though the Filthy Animals are the special guest referees, one of the members of Misfits in Action comes down, Lieutenant Loco, basically Chavo Guerrero. He's got the shirt on, and he makes the 1, 2, 3 count for Chronic to get the win. If he was a special guest referee, why didn't he make sure that his own team, General Erection and Corporal Cajun, got the win? I got no clue, but basically I don't think WCW knew what they were doing. Billy Kidman fought Shane Douglas in a strap match where basically it was just set up for Kidman to get the win. Kidman got the strap, he got the whip Torrie Wilson in the ass a little bit. Major Guns beat up Miss Hancock in a rip off each other's clothes match where they fought in the ring, they fought in the aisle, they fought at a big mud pit. I don't know. At the end of the match, Miss Hancock grabbed her stomach and she was rushed off to the hospital. Of course, this would start the whole Miss Hancock is pregnant deal, which was the one of the angles that never got finished. David Flair was, of course, the father because they were together at the time, but Russo's let the cat out of the bag, but it was going to be known that Ric Flair was the real father, and they were going to do another David Flair versus Ric Flair angle. Sting fought the Demon where he repelled from the roof. He came down, he hit the Stinger Splash, he hit the Deadly Drop, and it was over. 1, 2, 3, it's just as fast as it happened. And somehow, because of Vampiro and the Great Muta, they came out and they beat up Sting because basically the Demon couldn't do it. For some reason, for doing this, they were awarded a tag team championship match. Lance Storm fought Mike Awesome in a Canadian Rules match for the United States Heavyweight Championship with Jacques Rougeau as the outside referee, and this was basically a huge clusterfuck. Mike Awesome beat Lance Storm 3 times in this match, and Jacques Rougeau kept on finding rules inside of the Canadian wrestling rules handbook. I don't know. Bret Hart came out. Everybody thought he was basically going to be turning against Lance Storm and Jacques Rougeau to restore order, but basically because this was held in Canada, Bret Hart made his big return to WCW to sort of claim himself as a heel, siding himself with the heels. They all did a pose down inside of the ring, and then they finally left and the match was over. The Dark Carnival, they defeated Chronic in a tag team match. I don't know why Chronic fought twice. I don't know why the Great Muta fought twice, but it happened. And is billed as one of the big co-main events. We had Kevin Nash defeat Goldberg and Scott Steiner in a triple threat match. Of course, everyone can remember that from the last pay-per-view, the Bash at the Beach 2000, it was Kevin Nash against Goldberg for the Scott Hall contract, and of course, Scott Steiner got involved in that, and somehow this, it ended up being Scott Steiner and Goldberg couldn't coexist together, so it became a triple threat match. And then, in his first time defending his WCW title, Booker T beat Jeff Jarrett in a match that was billed as one of Booker T's last because he had a big knee injury, but he had the come-from-behind victory. And you can tell by sitting there, nobody in this crowd cared about Booker T being the champion. Nobody cared about Jeff Jarrett going for the title, and it was just a weird time for WCW. They were trying to move in a new direction where they were pushing the new guys, but the fans, they only wanted to see the old guys. Hogan wasn't there because the big shoot with Russo the month before. Their biggest name was probably Goldberg and Kevin Nash, and they wrestled in the match before the main event. So it is what it is. Just watch that 3 count versus Young Dragons. That's the main event to me. That big ladder match that started the show. It's the only match on there that was worth checking out unless you want to see Major Guns and Miss Hancock rip each other's clothes off. Peace out.